Jeez,
Are y'all ready?
man. I'm ready, dude. Let's do it.
Another fun-filled, exciting episode of She-Hulk. This time, Jen goes to a wedding. Oh, I've been waiting for this episode. I tell you, I've been waiting for her to go to a wedding and get totally humiliated by people she thinks are her friends, making her do all the stuff like she irons. They make her clean up. They don't want her to be She-Hulk. What, like, it's like she puts herself in torture. And she didn't even have to go back to work because her friends are handling her divorce case that I guess
Yeah,
has
she
been
took time
brought up.
off to go to a wedding. Remember, you have to keep in mind that this is written by a lot of like feminine women, or not feminine women, feminist women, who live in the city. And this is apparently what they think about, going to being single and going to weddings. They're incredibly torturous events.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, man. So the episode starts off with her receiving a beautiful package that blows up in her face with confetti, and she dumps glitter all over the ground. And she's got invited to be a bridesmaid at a wedding from someone she hasn't spoken to in a long time. And that's kind of like another thing. They're like, well, are you going to go? She's like, I guess so.
I've never, honestly, I've been in a lot of weddings, okay? A lot of weddings. I've never received this type of like over exaggerated, will you be my bridesmaid box before.
Yeah.
I feel like, I feel like maybe they've received like a box in the past, right? And it's like a cute little will you be my bridesmaid thing with like little gifts included. And then it was just so torturous for them to receive it, so they're like, oh, they made like this big over exaggerated box for this show to actually show you how ridiculous the wedding business is and how over the top it all is. It's so ridiculous.
Well, and the idea that like somebody invited you to a wedding, they haven't talked to him forever. Like, why would she invite
Not
you
only
to a wedding?
invited,
she's a bridesmaid.
Bridesmaid.
But yeah, bridesmaid. It's like, will you be my bridesmaid? I know we haven't talked in forever, but whatever. And then my favorite part is this part where she once again breaks the fourth wall and goes, "Yep, it's a wedding bottle episode." Yeah, I know. It's the worst possible time to do it in the show, but weddings are like that, aren't they? And you're like, I mean,
yeah, sorry, all of you people who are waiting for Daredevil to finally arrive in this episode. He's not coming.
Yeah,
it's like you're making fun of yourself. You didn't have to put this episode in there. Yeah. You chose to, so don't make fun of it. Just say, "Hey, we're doing a wedding episode. I love weddings. Isn't that exciting?" Or something not like, "Sorry guys, sucks to suck." Like
I know.
Yeah.
No Daredevil.
Sorry, you're disappointed. Rubbing it in your face.
I know we're stringing it along. Don't worry, he'll be there eventually. We showed him in the marketing.
Stringing him along, that's for sure. It's like that. A lot of people probably watch this hoping Daredevil would be there, and she looks and goes, "Well, it's the wedding episode. No, not even a fart in the wind mention of Daredevil, and everyone's waiting for him. I think that's the only thing keeping this show going. That everyone is waiting for him. So then they go to the the bridal
it's
party?
The rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, the rehearsal dinner. Yeah. And she shows up as She-Hulk, and everyone's like, "Yay, look at you, girl. Your booty looks crazy right now," and everyone's like, they're checking her out right there. They're all checking them out. They're looking, taking pictures, and there's the bride. And she walks up to She-Hulk and goes, "Why are you stealing this moment from me? I need you to be Jen and not She-Hulk. It's about me." And I'm like, this is such ridiculous dialogue. Could you imagine being invited to the wedding and like someone coming up like, "Hey, it's about me, not you." It's like, all right, I don't need to be here.
Oh, no.
I don't even know you. Goodbye.
Yeah. No. They're doing two things here. One, they're showing Jen is a terrible person because clearly she absolutely 100% knows that she's going to steal the spotlight from the bride. That's why you don't wear white to weddings, right? Because it distracts from the bride. She 100% knew what she was doing, and she says it. She was like, "Of course I'm coming as She-Hulk and not Jen." She wants the attention, and she's loving the attention and the compliments that they're giving her. Two, they're also painting this bride to be a terrible person as well, who has absolutely no friends and she has to like ask Jen, who she doesn't talk to be her bridesmaid. You know, this woman who can land a man who, you know, is pleasing enough to have a wedding at all, you know, is also a terrible person. So it's just kind of like they have no idea. You're not. She has every right to be upset that Jen came to her wedding as She-Hulk, especially if she knows that she can control it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, but the whole time, you know, she's back as Jen and her dresses don't fit.
Yeah.
So.
It's this weird thing of like, yeah, you invited Jen. Why did you invite Jen? Because you haven't seen each other in forever. But you also, it's public knowledge that she's She-Hulk. So when she shows up, she's like, what are you doing? Are you just trying to make everybody think about you? She's like, no. It's about you. Trust me. Like, I get it, but I'm here. And she's like, well, just don't be She-Hulk. Promise me you won't be She-Hulk at my wedding.
That's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is so dumb.
Like they're taking the whole bridezilla thing and showing it. But it's a caricature of a bride, because most brides aren't like that. They're not bridezillas.
They also just spent the last episode talking about how Jen is a loser, nobody likes her, and so she'd rather be like, she should be She-Hulk because that's who people like. And then she immediately shows up and she's like, all right, I'm gonna adopt this whole She-Hulk thing and feel good about myself. And she's like, oh my god, why are you doing that? Stop. It's like, this girl can't win for losing no matter what she does.
Like,
it's just
this is the dialogue. Look at I freeze it on this part here because the bride's like, taking all the attention away from me with your this. I'm like, man, you come at me, like, you invite me to your wedding and I'm supposed to be a part of it and I'm just being Jay, this is who I am, and you come at me like, I'm leaving. I'm like, I don't need to be here. Have a good wedding. I don't even know any of these people. Like, have a good time. So that sets that tone right there, that Jen, this is her struggle. This is her struggle bus. This is her pain and suffering that she has to go through. They're trying to show it every week that nobody likes who she is, like, whatever. So, like, that's her pain, unlike Hulk, who was chased by the government and wanted to be killed. Then we go back to her law office where we meet Mr. Immortal. Mr. Immortal is a comic book character that, of course, he just never dies. And Mr. Immortal is being sued by women that he married and didn't really divorce. He just died. Tried to kill himself, but he couldn't die. And he figured, well, since I'm dead, then we'll just move on to the next one. So this is the big law scene. And the person that represented Jen in the last episode over the trademark is taking over this case for Mr. Immortal. And the crazy thing is, let me go back. These two women start talking because she's upset that he married all these women and just walked out on them. And so they start yelling at each other. She starts yelling at him. He's just like, I'm just here to like get my stuff cleaned up. And he just jumps out of a window onto this car and walks away.
Yeah. So they depict him as being like non-confrontational. He just wants to avoid conflict. Instead of having like, he's so emotionally stunted.
He kept saying, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. Instead of having like hard conversations and ending a relationship amicably, he fakes his own death because he wants to avoid conflict with someone. He doesn't want to hurt their feelings. When in reality, they're depicting him as emotionally stunted. He doesn't have that growth in him to end a relationship. And they start berating him. And he's absolutely right when he's like, I'm sorry, I thought lawyers were supposed to be like impartial and withhold judgment. And they just start yelling at him.
On this guy. Yeah.
They start yelling at him and getting on him and judging him openly.
You're a bad man.
And
if I was a lawyer and I was like, hey,
everybody watching this fucking show, and jumps out a window. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, he was like, if I go to a lawyer and I need help with something and they start yelling at you and basically telling you the thing you're there to get help with is like, you're a bad person for, why would I work with those people? But like the other part of it too, I think this is really funny because it's like a really quick little blip, but like the part of the reason, like when Jen's like, hey, well, Mallory's handling my case, her friend who we know is not straight also goes, cool, I get to spend more time with this chick at the office. So I'm happy that you're gone because I can't wait to spend more time alone with her. So like she has ulterior motives for why she's there. And then they immediately scream at the guy that's coming to them for help. And he tells them well, the reason I got married to the other people, like, yeah, I mean, I know it's wrong for the most part, but guess what? Technically, I was dead, so those marriages like don't count. Like all the legal proceedings, and they're like, don't tell us how the law works. We know how the law works. I'm like, well, if you knew how the law works, and you know he's right, he died. But they're like, yeah, but it's the feeling, it's the morality of the situation that we're looking at right now. Yeah, and then he jumps out a window and kills himself.
I swear, if I was like, if that happened to me, and I'm like, just fuck it, they were just nagging on this guy, just completely judging him and nagging him, and he got up and threw himself out a window in order to get out of the conversation. I would like, what do you say, Jay? Look inward.
Yeah. Look inward.
Be
That's
like,
right.
holy shit, my nagging just made a guy throw himself out of a window. That would have some emotional effect on you, right? But no, they're just like, oh,
I'm like, whatever.
that's how he does it.
Yep.
And then we go from nagging women in the law office to more at the wedding rehearsal. So the bride walks up to Jen and says, "Oh, how you doing?" Jen's like, "Oh, I'm a lawyer. I'm this. I'm She-Hulk." She's like, "I don't care about that. Are you dating a guy? Is there a boy in your life?" And Jen is like, "I have all these accomplishments that nobody cares about. This is my pain. This is my suffering. All anybody wants to know is if I'm with some guy."
Yeah.
So
It's
she's
so
like,
stereotypical.
no.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, people would care about like your life. If you were single, it wouldn't fucking matter. People would legitimately care about your life, and they wouldn't act this way. But I feel like it's just one person who had like an experience, or
one of the writers.
they heard yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like one of the writers either had an experience or heard something or saw something, you know, from a friend of a friend, and they wrote it in the show. This is just complete projection, because I've never like had this conversation with anybody at a wedding that went like this. When I go to a wedding single, they're just like, "Oh, that's okay. You'll find someone. It'll happen." No, that's never happened.
No. And also, you ask somebody how they're doing, not, "Hey, are you seeing anybody?" It's like, "How are you doing? How's life?" And she's like, "Yeah, I don't care about any of the accomplishments. Come on, move on." "Oh, you're a superhero now?" "Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me. That's obviously not exciting to talk about."
That is that's the one part of the show that's blowing my mind. Like, you have a superhero. All right, listen. When you're connected to something like extremely famous, people want to ask you about that all the time. Trust me. And so it's like you're connected to Bruce Banner, you're connected to the Hulk, you're connected to the Avengers, you're connected. You can also change into a super, human. And people are like, in this entire episode, people are just like, I don't care, whatever. It's like, it's not a big deal.
You're
I'm sitting here like,
Hulk.
This is crazy, because it's like the whole time I'd want selfies and other stuff, and I would want to ask about all these questions, but apparently that doesn't matter. But then
seriously, she's connected to the Hulk. She's connected to the Hulk, and we saw in Endgame that the Hulk takes selfies with people. Like, he's been doing stuff. He's really big. So why wouldn't they like, "Hey, you know the Hulk? You're a Hulk too?" That would.
It's just so bizarre.
Yeah, it's like it's an interconnected universe, and they're forgetting that.
Yeah.
I mean, the big twist of the show happens next when Titania shows up at the wedding.
Oh no.
And Jen makes a huge scene where the bride goes, "Hey, you're being loud right now. I need you to stop." And Jen is like, "Hey, look, Titania's here to hurt me. Don't you understand that? Why am I the only one not seeing that?" And then everyone pounces on Jen. "It's not about you. The world doesn't revolve." And I'm like, here's more of her pain and suffering. And even Titania is like, "I love that you never make any effort at all." Babe Silly talking about her clothes and makeup.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, man. Like, they just constantly dogpile on her, and
always. It's
well,
like
also,
she's already dealing with, the fact that she's, oh God, she's going to be a bridesmaid. It's like one of the worst things you can be when you're single. Oh my God. She's going to a wedding and she doesn't have a boyfriend. Oh, it's like the worst thing that could ever happen to her. Oh my God. She has to like walk down the aisle with a chihuahua. Holy crap. I'm just terrible. And now I have to deal with this woman who's like incredible, has an incredible career. Let's not, take that away from her. She does. She's an influencer. She's, big in her own right. And she's like, she takes care of herself. You know, it's like,
Well,
what
the
more
other
could go
thing too
wrong
is
for me? Oh.
she just got done telling Jen, like, oh, I don't care that you're a superhero and all this stuff. Who are you dating right now? And then Titania shows up and she goes, oh my god, Titania's here. Isn't that awesome? Like, she's super popular and well known.
It's so ridiculous.
You're like, wait, what? Like, and then the other thing too, like Steph was saying too, like earlier Jen goes, by the way, like there's an uneven amount of bridesmaids and like groomsmen. What's going on with that? It's like, why would you invite Jen if you knew there was going to be an issue with the number? It's just like, oh, don't worry, we got that figured out. Don't worry about it. You know, you'll meet. You know, it's like, this show. It feels like they're like, you know what we should do? We should have Jen come to the wedding so we can all make fun of her and hate on her.
Like, what it seems
so
like. So Jen is sad again and goes off and sits by herself. And she's approached by a man who says the right things. He uses this compliment. She's like, hey, what were you doing here? He goes, well, I wanted to talk to a beautiful woman stuffing her face with candied nuts. And like, so she's like, oh, okay, well, finally there's a glimmer of hope for Jen that a nice guy is talking to her and not talking to She-Hulk. So that's interesting.
She tells him that like she just wanted to like come here and show off, you know, her
Yeah,
accomplishments, show off her accomplishments as Jen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if she wanted to do that, then she would come as Jen, but she didn't. She came as She-Hulk because she wanted like the attention and she was loving the attention. So what did she want? What did she want? Did she want to come as Jen and be able to show off her accomplishments and, you know, show people that like she's actually, you know, grown and is accomplished as Jen? Or does she want to come as She-Hulk, you know, and milk all the attention that she would get as She-Hulk? It's so inconsistent with this episode. She doesn't know what she wants.
No.
It's usually like, that's what we see with the entire show. And then we bounce back to the court scene and we see all the women and man that Mr. Immortal has married. So apparently he swings on both fences.
He does. You know what the one
apparently he has a thing for black women too, because married a lot of black women.
He did. You know the one thing that bugs me about this episode is that they all look like they're the same age.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, like, all right, I know he's immortal, but these, like, there's a ton of people. Was he married like at the same time? He couldn't have been, because with one woman, she says that he was with him for like 18 years.
Yeah. And the other one was only with him for 3.
For 3, that's already 20 years. Like, I don't understand this age group of people.
Yeah. Yep.
They just decided to, let's just bring in a bunch of old people and, you know, do this.
Yeah.
Then they find out this big clue is that that he's been using a false identity, fake identity, and that sets the lawyer off, saying, you shouldn't have done that. What's wrong with you? You're lucky you're not in prison. You're gonna have to pay. And so they're both kind of like, it seems like the lawyer and the other girl are like, well, we got to make this man pay for what he did to these women and men.
Yeah.
So this is going to be fun to hurt our client. It's like, this is going to be fun to hurt our client. And you're just kind of like, I'm sitting there like, did they really say that? Like, this is going to be fun. You're going to have to pay. You're lucky you're not in jail. It's like, holy crap. Like
and then talk about like incompetence and not being prepared. How do they not know that he used like all of these identities to marry? And she even says, like, this is what I was afraid of. If you were afraid of this, why didn't you ask him before this meeting? Because this puts you in a bad spot and you look incompetent.
Oh, but remember, the writers don't know anything about law, so
True.
Yeah, the whole concept is like, now it would have made more sense and been maybe even funnier for them to represent all of these women and man that married Mr. Immortal, and they're going after him. But he came to them to be represented. He's like, I got to figure this out. And they're like, don't worry, we're going to make you pay. You're going to pay for everything you've done.
I know.
Like,
what terrible lawyers. Honestly, like, he should have just left.
Yeah.
He threw himself out of the window and left.
He stood in front of a train. Yeah.
Well, at one point, he does try to get up and jump out of a window again, and they stop him.
They stop him. So, good old Mr. Immortal.
Yep.
So now we're back at the wedding. It's the wedding day and everyone's happy. And I kind of chuckled at this scene. I really did. Actually, this scene actually made me laugh. Simply because it's a little close to home, to our Geeks and Gamers home, because the other bridesmaids came and they said, so the groomsmen were playing Mario Kart and their shirts got all sweaty and wrinkly, and she like didn't understand. They're like, that happens. And I could just picture our Sunday night Mario Kart games and how
I'm
like
sorry. I gotta say it. With what we saw with, like, you know, I can't remember, like, what, episode 2 or 3, with everybody like hating on She-Hulk and them saying all this crap on Twitter. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And now they're playing Mario Kart. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But they're like, their shirts are wrinkled, Jen. You're on laundry duty, aren't you? And she's just like, yeah, I guess so. So they give her all the men's shirts to to iron and de-wrinkle because they're all sweaty and like aggravated playing Mario Kart. This is what I picture Epic Mike below me to be like after Sunday nights. The shirts ripped,
sweaty and
wrinkled,
frustrated.
sweaty and frustrated. So this part I did. I kind of laughed out loud. I'll give them that, only because they hit the numbers with me on that one. But then they showed Jen's this is who Jen is gonna walk down the aisle with.
Yep.
That's Jonathan.
That's Jonathan, right? That's the dog.
They had to resuscitate him this morning.
Just before, just that morning. Yep. And they're like, yeah, and he leaks a little bit. And they're like, oh, is he leaking right now?
This is so dumb. I'm not laughing at the jokes. I'm just laughing at, like, they tried to make Jen, like,
it's so bad. Like, that's not even, it's not a funny joke. It's just sad. Like,
it's like, we want you all to feel how upset and painful that Jen's life is. Like, this is her life.
Yeah. It was funny when, like, I saw it in Friends, because they did this gag in Friends in the TV show, you know, with an old dog who smells, you know, and I think like Ross has to like walk down the aisle with him or something like that. I can't remember. It was funny when they did it, but it's just not funny here because because everything like leading up to this hasn't been funny. You know, it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be played for a gag, like, oh yeah, she has to walk down the aisle with this dog. But up until this moment, everything that's like happened to Jen has happened to her. You know what I mean? So it's like it's happened to her. She's taking it all like, oh, why is this happening? Like, it's torturous. So we're meant to take not as a joke like they did in Friends, but this is like some torturous thing that's
exactly.
Like,
it's like it's not supposed to be funny. Look how bad her life is. But like, look at Jonathan. Oh, he's so cute. And he's gonna pee on you, Jen, while you iron all the guys' clothes and be a woman and all that stuff. So Jen's had enough, you know. And this is just the icing on the cake. You know, she's done all this work. She's at the wedding, doesn't know a soul. And so she decides to go to the bar and she's going to do what she knows what to do and drink. Like, she's going to drink, and she goes to the bar and they're like, $5. So all you do is keep seeing her slam $5 on the table. So she's just getting hammered to death. Oh, so that's that scene where she's drinking a lot. So now she's resorted to alcohol.
She hates this experience so much. She needs to get drunk.
That's right. Yep. So now we go back to the law office with Mr. Immortal, and they figured out. This is how they figured out. They figured out that he's going to sell like his Apple stock, and what these women want here is she wants a 20-second sincere apology.
Yeah. Bitch, I would have taken the gold. Like, I legit offered them like gold.
Yeah, the way he talks about what he has in money, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, at least, But the funny thing is, at first it's a 15-second apology, and that's the one thing he complains about the most.
He's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, 20 seconds. I'm like, what? Yeah.
And all the women are like, oh.
This honestly makes them look stupid. Like, what? It makes them look stupid because he's just like, I have stock in this, and then I have like the gold from my first marriage, like a baroness or something like that. We'll split it evenly. It's like something that's really generous. You know what I mean? He's like, stock from the 80s is probably worth a lot, and then gold. It's like, it's making these women look fucking stupid for not taking the money.
Yeah.
Like this one woman
Apology.
just wants like a sincere apology with 20 seconds
so
of eye
happy.
contact.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
eye contact. Yeah, some women
Yeah.
got paid,
Yeah.
and but
The
that's what
only
happened.
woman who's smart is the one that's like, you cash money. The one with the kid. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I want money. Fuck
yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't need an apology. So that's the end of the case. Mr. Immortal has to pay, and everybody seems to be happy. So that's the attorney show part of the segment. So then we go back to the wedding, and
These screen caps, Jay, they're pretty great. Look at his face.
so Janice, she was dancing on the dance floor, and she's just sitting by herself, and nobody's talking to her. So the guy comes back, and Jen is pouting. She's just like, I really wanted people to love my accomplishments. And he's like, I think you're pretty great. And Jen smiles. But here's the big twist of the entire show. We've already gone longer than the show just talking about. The show is about 20 minutes. Jen decides that she's got sick. She drank too much alcohol, so she runs outside to throw up. And while she's outside throwing up, Titania, dun dun dun, shows up and punches not She-Hulk, but punches Jen in the face. She flies back. Her jaw should have been broken, number one. Like, she should have had a cracked skull because she wasn't in She-Hulk form. She was in human form. Titan is super strong. And then gets up and shoves her down on the ground. And she's just like, I told you this wasn't over. We're gonna come after you. And then the big twist of the show, everyone. Jen forgets how to turn into She-Hulk.
It's so ridiculous. Like, seriously, the inconsistency in this show, right? Because she is She-Hulk. She can turn into She-Hulk. And so when we're seeing her walk down that alleyway, poor girl, she's so innocent and she gets attacked. She has to turn into She-Hulk to fight these guys. Right? She has to turn into the She-Hulk. But she can take this punch from Titania and be fine.
Yeah.
Then why was she so scared?
Yeah. Because, I mean, she get hit
In
like
a dark
truck
alley.
and she's fine. Yeah. Yeah. I also love, like, the weird, like, she, like, tries to change and, like, her feet just get big and blow out her shoes. And you're
The
like,
foot
wait,
fetish
know.
returns.
The feet. Why do they constantly show her fucking feet? It's so weird. And she's just like, she's fucking drunk. She's like, I forgot how to turn. She's like, hold on, let me concentrate. This chick is the sad woman at a party. Like, seriously, she is the sad, bitter, cynical woman at the wedding who gets drunk and wallow in self-pity.
Titania wants to take her out. This is her opportunity.
Yeah.
Just break her neck or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Like,
Titania
there's no reason.
wants She-Hulk. I want to take on She-Hulk. It's so stupid.
So they're like talking like they're like college roommates or something. They're like, can you turn already? Do I have to punch you again? Ha ha. She's like, give me a second. I got to remember how to turn into She-Hulk. And you're just sitting here. Did they really write that dialogue for the show? And then the worst, thing. So after right here, she's like, I forgot how to do it. She concentrates, then turns into She-Hulk, and they get into a fight. And that's one of my favorite stills.
Yeah.
Now listen, this is the crazy thing right here. This is the crazy thing. So She-Hulk dead punches her in the face. Titania, fine. Titania then slips on the floor to come and punch her, hits her head on the floor, and breaks her teeth like this.
I know.
But a punch from the She-Hulk did nothing.
Nothing.
The inconsistent, so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's so inconsistent.
She took like multiple punches from She-Hulk.
Yeah.
She-Hulk like hit her with the ground. She literally did like a Hulk clap. Yeah, and then punches her directly in the mouth. You can see it. It's her mouth. Like, it's all crooked. Yeah. Slips on an ice cube on the floor, and she's like, oh, that broke my teeth.
She gets up, and she's like, all right, here we go. She slips on a piece of ice and hits her head on the floor, and she gets up, and everyone's, like, recording the fight. And she's like, oh, you're looking at me. How dare you? And she takes a piece of cake and leaves.
Yeah.
God, it's so stupid. She takes the top of the cake. It's so stupid.
What?
It's so dumb. It's like, oh, they got this bitch to look ugly. Yeah, see, everything about her is fake. Her teeth, her eyelashes, because her eyelash is like right here. She's
Yeah.
so fake. They got her to look ugly. It's
Well,
so
thank the
dumb.
ground for saving the day, I guess.
That's
I
the
know
crazy thing is
She-Hulk
that
didn't do shit. She punched her and nothing happened, and
Yeah.
she slipped and fell and
Yep.
left.
That's it. Yep.
well, that's the big twist. Just make sure there's ice on the floor for supervillains to hit
Yep.
their face on the floor, and it'll break their
If
face.
we wanted to take out Thanos, we just needed to throw some ice on the ground.
Exactly.
That's all.
And I'm sitting here like, did not one person writing the show think? Like, first of all, now you're right. It's inconsistent. There's no way that you can't even talk about it. It's like She-Hulk punched you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the floor.
They have to humiliate her, Jay.
So then the bride shows up, and remember, the bride was like, I didn't want you as She-Hulk, but the bride was like, change of heart. She's like, yay, She-Hulk's at my wedding. Wow.
I
And your
think she's
boobs are
hammered.
big.
She's like
drunk.
hammered. She's like, oh my gosh, it's totally fine because I'm so drunk. I don't remember what I said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The drunken
And
They just
bride.
kept talking
trope
about her
is so stupid.
boobs.
Yeah, she's like, your boobs, yeah, they're huge. You're so big. It's like, you sure you married the right dude? Because
Oh, speaking of that, okay, speaking of that, they don't even give her husband. Like, where is he? They don't even.
You
don't
never
even-
see the
Oh, that's
wedding.
right.
You
That's
never see the
right.
wedding. You don't even get his name because
No.
they're just like, I want to be here for you and your groom. They don't even give him a name.
No. Yep. She even says groom. Yeah, she does. Yeah, they never talk about him, or we don't know anything about the guy. Yep. Yeah,
She was like, I'm still hung up on the boobs thing. She's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
huge boobs. And they go to all the other bride games. They're like, yeah, big boobs.
boobs.
You're just like, what?
Yeah, everybody's like, yay, boobs. That's all we're
Women
here
do
for.
that? Like, especially out loud.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my
listen.
God. That's so.
See, this is showing me that Jen is like absolutely, I don't know, like she nobody appreciates her at all.
Well,
Like,
they appreciate her boobs, though.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, she was right at the beginning to show up
Yeah.
as She-Hulk for attention because now people like her. Whereas before, when she's just Jen, they're just like giving her chores to do. I have no idea. This show is fucking weird.
So
Yeah.
now comes the hook to get you in to watch next week. The lawyer and the assistant decide to go on a website, and they find that, people are talking trash about She-Hulk, and there's some death threats coming after her, and they're freaked out. They don't know what to do. So her friend calls her against the wishes of the other attorney and says, hey, there's a website where people are trying to figure out how to kill you. And she just leaves a message with Jen. And then we see this. Apparently, some lab is developing a needle that can stick into She-Hulk to get her blood because that's what they want. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the show.
Yep.
That's it.
I think She-Hulk got laid, by the way. Or Jen did. Yeah, because she's sharing a plate of fries. Remember?
Oh yeah, she's sharing a plate of fries.
Let's get those fries to go. She's
know how
actually sharing this. Yeah, we know how fries go.
Yeah,
She's
true.
about to get some.
I didn't even catch that, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and real quick too, the lawyer at one point, her friend who's trying to obviously hit on the lawyer is like, "Hey, so like, you single?" She's like, "Nope, I'm married and I got kids."
I'm married with
like,
kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And you're like, "Wow, that went nowhere. What was the point of that?" Like, she didn't have to be married with kids. You didn't have to write that. Like, you could. Yeah. Yep.
That ends another wonderful episode of She-Hulk. We're right in the middle of it now. We're in the thick of things. The story's really moving along.
I hate this show.
Stunning and brave. It's so stunning and brave.
I hate this show. Everything, you know what pisses me off so much about this show is that everything in the Marvel universe is supposed to be, it's a cinematic universe. Everything is interconnected. Everything means something, right?
Yeah.
Where does this show fit? Like, is this show just meant to, to cameo? So that way, like, when they're in trouble, they need the Hulk and Wong can just be like, oh yeah, I know the Hulk. I can go get her. Or the She-Hulk. I can go get her. I have no fucking clue about this. Like, why?
Steph, the show wasn't made for you. It was made for. Oh wait, no, you're actually the demographic the show was made for. Never mind, I forgot. Yeah, because apparently the show's not made for me. I'm not supposed to like it. You're supposed to like it though. You have to. It's so you don't feel represented as a woman. It's so
No.
accurate to the female experience according to the writers.
They are doing one thing for me. I am now at the point with this show where I laugh a lot. And it's not because of the jokes, it's because every week they astonish me on how bad it gets.
Yeah.
Every single week it gets worse. I thought last week's episode was bad. Now we got to this, and I'm just sitting here like, can they just outdo themselves every week? And it just makes me laugh with the dialogue, with the cringe, with the, even the the way they talk to each other. Titania calls She-Hulk a hater. It's like, I'll get you, hater. It's like, I've never like, I don't understand these conversations. Are people really talking like that? It's just,
I feel bad for the writers. This makes me feel sad for them. Like if this is how they view
they're out there
the female
applauding each other.
experience, if this is how they view the female experience, I feel bad for them. I really do. So this show makes me sad. I can't laugh. I laughed last week. Was it last week? I think. Yeah, when she got sued by Titania.
Yeah.
Okay. I laughed because like they pulled up Titania's picture on Instagram and she's wearing this like fucking huge hat. Like that was the only time that I laughed.
Yeah. It's sad. It's
maybe
really
by the
sad.
end of the episode, well, I'll just be like, knee slapping, butt gusting.
Yeah.
Or
then it finally shows Daredevil.
Or it'll be, hey guys, I'm here doing review by myself because my nerdy home just couldn't take any more. Epic Mike says, if you make me review this show, I will no longer be your friend. But we're here. I'm sticking it out to the end, man. I'm sticking it. We've started. Rings of Power, I kind of gave up on. I just couldn't anymore. But I'm like, we're gonna stick She-Hulk out to the end.
She-Hulk.
Please subscribe to My Nerdy Home. Please subscribe to Epic Mike. Their stuff is in the description below. Thank you guys for sticking this out with me. We will be back next week for another exciting episode of She-Hulk. Maybe this time, what could possibly? Let's see.
Maybe we'll get Daredevil.
She was on Tinder. She was at a wedding. What else could like single 30+ women do that's gonna be humiliating for her?
Do laundry. Maybe she'll do laundry and all her clothes will get ruined.
Leave your guesses in the comments. What can be humiliating for Jen to experience?
Leave your guesses in the comments. That would be awesome. All right, we will catch you next time.